This is the face of a person who was fed to the wolves and should not be alive, but yet somehow or other is still alive, is thriving. And so why is that? And how did this person survive being fed to the wolves? I mean, this is a great study. It's a scientific and philosophical mystery that we could study and learn so much from. I was handicapped in life by being raised with parents that did not have enough information to be able to do a proper job of protecting their children. I was brought up with this idea that I should just do whatever it is that I feel like doing, and that I should find a job or career that suits my mind, that I like to do, that, you know, fulfills me, and that I should, you know, search for love and find a partner, a girl. And this was, you know, not directly given to me, but basically this was cemented in my brain through my surroundings, and it by parental influence of not combating that, it was reinforced by the parental units. So the parents, they don't directly give life goals, values, and guidance, but they do because they choose what to reinforce and what not to reinforce as the children grow up. I was sent into college at age 15. I was told that this was going to be amazing for me, that I was so bright and so talented and so smart. By the age of 19 or 20, I had $50,000 in debt. I look back now and I go, that is actually a form of child abuse of what I was put through. That $50,000 in debt has crippled me at the age of my early 30s here, in the ability to finance my goals and my dreams and live the life that I want and that I feel that I deserve based upon the nation that I was born in. Not possible now, because this notion or these ideas that were forced upon me by parents thinking that they were helping me out or doing me a favor. It's like we can only do our best, and we can only propagate the values and the consciousness that we have, you know. So if a person is living in disharmony with reality, there's no possible way that they will be able to teach or raise someone else to live in harmony with reality. The symptoms of someone that's living in harmony with reality is that they're thriving in their life. They are free from vice and addiction, and things are going well for them emotionally, mentally, physically, and there's an abundance. There's nothing lacking. So this is the symptom of those who are living in harmony with reality. There's a world out there, and we have some pieces to the puzzle, you know, based upon, you know, what our parents tell us about the world, and then our society and our peer group, and what we hear on TV and media, different streams of information. Everywhere it's an information highway now, and everyone's is giving us information, and we take it in, we formulate our perception of the world around us. We're putting together pieces of a bigger puzzle. But if you were to go and you were to, you know, first of all, we don't have the capacity, but just imagine if you had an unlimited capacity for consciousness. and you could perceive everything and anything that was going on at all times, you would be able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and you would be able to make incredible decisions, and you would be able to live in harmony with reality because you would have an exact idea of what was going on. People that have a skewed vision or only a small amount of pieces of the puzzle, they can come into an idea, a delusion, really, a picture of reality that's not reality. And when they live according to that picture, they live in disharmony with reality. The symptoms of disharmony with reality are addiction. They are emptiness in the heart. They are anger, frustration, and ultimately trauma, misery, loneliness, self-pity. So these are, when we see these things, we go, oh, okay, this is a symptom of someone who's living in disharmony with reality. Now, if you find a person like that and you try to say, hey, you know, there seems to be a problem here, maybe we should try to get bigger pieces of the puzzle, see what is going on, seeing if maybe there's some information missing that can help us reach a better outcome. And oftentimes, you will find that the people do not want to listen, and they do not want to change. And so when you come into when you are up against that, and that is a person who is a person of authority in your life, then that person is, whether they know it or not, going to be abusing you, abusive towards you, because all that they can do is propagate disharmony, how to live in disharmony. And you may become attached to that person because they may be kind to your mind and your senses, and they may be thinking that if I help this person achieve daily sustenance, and if I give this person hugs and massages and love, then I'm going to be doing that person well. But underlying that all is this propagation of how to live a disharmonious life that is going to be filled with problems. And so therefore that person is abusing you, even though, just like a dog that's being abused, he loves his master because his master feeds him and hugs him and everything. But the abuse is there, and therefore, to our best interest, we must break free from these abusive people. My phone died, but I wanted to make a follow-up video to elucidate the point that I was trying to make, the gift of knowledge that I'm humbly attempting to offer through this video message, which is one of love, and which is one of wishing that things were different, and wishing that that I had the ability to convey useful and beneficial information to a person that I love, and wishing that they had the ability to receive that gift without the sabotage of the mind interfering with the message and overriding it. So that's something that every soul has to live with, is the reaction of their own mind to different things, and myself and others around me, and in particular, my siblings, being raised in the same way, I can relate. And I hope that they can relate as well to this notion and this idea of, I wake up, my mind feels like doing this, I feel like doing that, and I just do what I feel. This is the way that I self-govern or self-manage my life, and this is the way that was taught to me, and that I learned from my parents. And I learned that I can achieve a better outcome In other words, I learned that this self-governing system does not lead to the best outcomes as far as inner satisfaction and peace in the heart and freedom from the vices I was just speaking about. I learned that there is a higher way of self-governing wherein a person observes the mind and observes the body and the sensations in the body, but is aloof and sees himself as separate from those things and is simply witnessing those things. And through this practice of witnessing, silent witness technique it's called, one develops the ability to override whatever he wants. When you can override whatever you want, then you can navigate your own ship, so to speak. In other words, you can set yourself on a trajectory towards whatever goal it is that you want to achieve, So, this is a huge thing, and one of the reasons for my betrayal and my continued betrayal is, this objection in the mind of some type of religious difference, or some kind of tangent of spirituality that is not the same, and therefore, is ostracizable, or whatever you want to say. But this is not necessarily the case, because what I'm explaining is actually is a fundamental tool that a person can use to achieve whatever the fuck they want. So I'm using it to achieve a spiritual trajectory. A person who is not on that spiritual or religious path can use the same tool to achieve material success and prosperity if that's what their goal of life is. If they identify the body as the self and the senses and the enjoyment of the senses as the highest priority in life, they can still override these different vices by using this silent witness technique. So it doesn't really have anything to do with religious difference. And this is one of the great unfortunate things about the harm that was done to me and the separation that occurred because of it, because it fundamentally prevents anyone that was close to me before from being able to partake in these wonderful gifts that have allowed my life to blossom and use them for their own self-benefit, So that it's a side effect, and it's a very violent one, and it stems from the violent betrayal that occurred towards me and that happened to me from these abusive people that I mentioned. And so, nevertheless, what I would hope that could occur as a best outcome is that someone watching this video could observe their own thoughts and their own reactions, and instead of trying to express those or manipulate the way that I feel and override it, rather to witness what the mind's reaction is and be aloof and be apart from that and simply settle in to the observation of this information, the observation of the fact that I'm attempting to convey something that's quite useful that can be used to break addiction, and simply be at peace with that without trying to argue or say anything at all. There's no response. There's no response video needed. There's no response message needed here. There's nothing at all required. All that I'm hoping to do here is to explain something about the nature of the physical body and the addictive cycle. Okay, so as I just mentioned about the background of disharmony, right? So if when a person's 25, their brain, this is when their brain starts to become less formable. In other words, physiologically, from 14 to 25, the brain is more like a sponge, and it's imprintable, and it can accept changes in values and things like that. After 25, a person is set in their ways. The only way that they're going to be able to change is if they accept something which challenges their beliefs. In other words, they have to want to change. They have to accept, they have to hear something that's challenging and accept that it challenges, and if they come to agreement that it is a logically superior argument, then they can accept it. So it's still possible for a person is never too far gone, okay? This is something that I learned because I was too far gone. And I'm still alive, and I'm doing pretty fucking good for someone that was in the deepest throes of drug addiction. 6 years of extremely hardcore addiction. Should not be here. Should not be alive. So, this is a situation. The body is 30 plus. The beliefs are set. Everything has been hardened. It's going to be a tough road ahead because the addiction is there, the disharmony is there. The foundation for everything is, like I said before, it's not right for a happy life. So work, the highest work is, like I said, to keep a distance from those people. First, become aware of the problem. Second, keep a distance. Try not to let those people influence you that are propagating that. Try to seek out the company of those that can help influence you that are living in harmony with reality. If you have the great fortune of having anyone in your network that is thriving and living in harmony with reality, seek out their company, seek out their association. Try not to burn the bridge, So that's the greatest form of self-destruction would be to burn that bridge. And I see people that I love doing that because the reaction of the mind and the tendency for us just to simply do whatever the mind says, just follow and do and say, and as I mentioned before, it just leads to one bad outcome after another. So we have to be aware of the outcome we're trying to achieve in order to override the reaction of the mind, to override the reaction of anger, to argue, to get our will done. So, back to my point, this is how it's done, okay? The addiction, it starts with the tongue. Then, the senses are, the physical senses, touch, taste, smell, they all feed into the mind. The mind is the king of the senses, okay? And when we are addicted, like me, I'm a recovering drug addict. When you become addicted, you have set up a neural pathway that you cannot control anymore. You have lost control. It will do what it does, and it's going to go for what it wants to go for, okay? It has made you the slave of it, and you serve it. It is your master. The mind is your master. So when someone comes and says something that the mind doesn't like, that person becomes an enemy. When that person loves you more than you love yourself, then that becomes the greatest travesty, because you cut yourself off from that very person that could be your life-saving grace. So here's how it goes. First the tongue, then the belly, then the genitals, just like the chakra. Okay, the chakras, up and down. Okay, the mind is controlling these things. The desire to speak. Okay, someone says something we don't like, the mind wants to react, and it comes out in the desire to speak, to say some words. So we observe that. We observe that I want to talk right now while this person's talking, but we control it. That's step one. By controlling the urge to speak, by only speaking what is kind and truthful, a person will then have a greater control over the belly. It descends in a line, remember? By controlling the urge to eat, by engaging in fasting, one will have a greater degree of control over the urges of the genitals. So it's in a line, so we should work on all systems simultaneously, starting with the urge to speak. Prevent the urge to speak. Prevent the urge to gorge, to eat unnecessarily. Engage in some fasting. Start with intermittent fasting, where we wake up and we fast until we can't take it anymore. Skip breakfast, maybe skip lunch, go halfway through to dinner. Controlling the genitals. When we feel the urges coming on, renegotiate. Have a discourse with the mind. Remember the outcome. What does it feel like to sit there just busted a nut, completely empty? Does it feel good? Does it feel amazing? No. That few seconds felt amazing, and now the repercussion, the parasympathetic nervous system for 72 hours is going to be activated, meaning your body is going to be more relaxed than normal, and that relaxation is going to cause a lack of ability to concentrate fully on tasks. We're going to be more susceptible to illness, pathogens. We're going to have less creative drive, less strength, less psychic power, less ability to control our environment. These are all bad outcomes. Unless we're in a committed, loving, spiritual relationship, then what is the use of that orgasm? It's not useful at all. And whoever these doctors are that are saying it's healthy and good for you, they are propagating abuse and violence. So that's the system. Control the mind, control the tongue, control the belly, control the genitals, live a life of happiness, live a life of harmony. These are the tools that I wish that I could share to anyone and everyone who was brought up the way that I was brought up. And I feel so sad when someone who went through exactly what I went through doesn't have access and can't get out of the pit of hell that this consciousness creates. Thank you so much for watching.